The ranch had never felt so alive. Morning light spilled across the endless fields as Clara Whitmore stood on the porch, her fingers wrapped around a warm cup of coffee. Workers moved in rhythm, horses thundered across open land, and the air carried something she had never known before. Belonging. Just weeks ago, she had been abandoned on a train platform. Now, she was standing beside the man who had chosen her. Daniel. But peace on the frontier was never permanent. And somewhere beyond the horizon, trouble was already riding toward them. Daniel had changed, not in the way people expected a powerful ranch owner to be, but in quieter ways. He laughed more, he listened, and every evening, no matter how busy the day had been, he found his way back to Clara. "You're staring again," Clara teased one night as he leaned against the doorway. Daniel smirked. "I'm making sure you're real." She shook her head, smiling. "I'm not going anywhere." For a moment, something unreadable passed through his eyes. "Good," he said softly. Because deep down, he knew something was coming. It started with the cattle. One morning, a ranch hand came running. "Mr. Daniel, you need to see this." They found the first carcass near the eastern fence. Then another, and another. Clara covered her mouth, her heart sinking. "This wasn't animals," she whispered. Daniel crouched beside one of the bodies, his jaw tightening. "No," he said. This was a message. By nightfall, the ranch felt different. Tense. Watching. Waiting. Clara sat by the window, her hands restless. "Who would do this?" she asked. Daniel didn't answer right away. Then he said one name. "Grayson Cole." Clara looked at him. "Who is he?" Daniel's expression darkened. "A man who believes this land should be his. And he thinks killing cattle will scare you." Daniel shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "He thinks hurting what I care about will break me." Clara's breath caught, because she suddenly understood. This wasn't just about land. It was about her, too. The attack came 3 nights later. It was fast, violent, merciless. Gunshots shattered the silence as flames rose from the outer barns. Clara woke to chaos. "Daniel," she shouted, rushing outside. He was already there, shouting orders, moving like a man who had faced war before. "Get inside," he yelled when he saw her. "I'm not leaving you," she fired back. A bullet struck the ground near her feet. Daniel ran to her, grabbing her arm. "This isn't a fight you can win," he said sharply. Clara pulled free. "I didn't survive everything just to hide now." For a second, he saw it, the same fire that had saved his life. And he knew, she wasn't going to stand back. The ranch fought back. Workers grabbed rifles. Horses screamed. Fire lit the sky like a warning. And in the middle of it all, Clara stood her ground. She wasn't trained. She wasn't a fighter. But she refused to be helpless. A shadow moved behind one of the supply sheds. Clara spotted him first. "Daniel." "Left," she shouted. He turned just in time, firing before the attacker could strike. The man fell. Daniel looked at Clara, breath heavy. "You saved me again," he said. She swallowed, trying to steady her shaking hands. "Looks like we're even," she replied. But they both knew, this was far from over. By dawn, the attackers were gone. But the damage remained. Burned wood, dead livestock, fear hanging in the air like smoke. Clara walked through the ruins, her chest tight. "This won't stop unless we stop him," she said. Daniel nodded. "I know." She turned to him. "Then let's end it." Grayson Cole wasn't hiding. Men like him never did. He wanted to be found. Because he believed no one could take him down. Not even Daniel. But he didn't know about Clara. They rode out together at sunset. The land stretched silent beneath them, as if holding its breath. "Stay close," Daniel said. Clara nodded. "I always do." Grayson's camp sat near a rocky ridge. Armed men guarded the perimeter. Daniel studied it carefully. "Too many to rush," he said. Clara looked around, then pointed. "What about there?" A narrow path wound behind the ridge, hidden, but passable. Daniel glanced at her. A slow smile formed. "You're smarter than most men I know," he said. Clara smirked. "Don't sound so surprised." They moved under the cover of darkness. Step by step, silent, careful, until they reached the center of the camp. Grayson stood near the fire. Exactly where they expected him to be. "Daniel," Grayson said, as if he'd been waiting. His voice was calm, too calm. I was wondering when you'd come. Daniel stepped forward. And it, he said. Grayson chuckled. You still think you're in control. His eyes shifted to Clara. And this must be the girl. Clara felt the weight of his gaze, but didn't flinch. She's the reason you're going to lose, Daniel said. Grayson laughed. No, he said, she's the reason you're weak. That was the moment everything broke. The fight exploded. Fast, brutal. Daniel went straight for Grayson. Clara moved to cover him, keeping the others back. Every second mattered. Every move counted. Grayson was strong, experienced, but Daniel had something he didn't. A reason to survive. The final moment came in silence. Daniel stood over him, breathing hard. Grayson looked up, bloodied, but still defiant. You think this ends it? He spat. Daniel's grip tightened. It ends tonight. One shot, and it was over. The ride back felt different. Lighter, like something heavy had finally been lifted. Clara glanced at Daniel. You okay? He nodded, then looked at her. Are you? She smiled softly. I am now. The ranch rebuilt, stronger, safer, and this time, nothing stood in their way. One evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Clara stood beside Daniel once more. You know, she said, I almost didn't get off that train. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Really? She nodded. I was afraid. He took her hand. And now, Clara looked out at the land. Then back at him. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Daniel smiled. Yeah, he said. You are. Because sometimes, the life you were meant to have begins the moment everything else falls apart.